Today we're joined by Kaelob Mecum. Kaelob is a worship leader, an artist, and Caleb's story is so impactful to so many people. I'm really pleased that our audience can hear directly from Caleb. And I know that your music has inspired me, Caleb. Welcome to the show. You're a former Marine and a worship leader and a Christian artist, but your music hits the heart, and I'm really pleased that you joined us today.
And thanks so much, man. I'm so stoked to be here, hanging
Well, a
out.
month ago, I'm so glad. A month ago, you released a song, "You Lately," which is fantastic,
Thank you.
and we're going to be featuring that song in this feature in Breakout. But we've been playing for quite a while on Worship Road Radio, "Need a River."
Okay, cool.
And Nita River is just it's just so good, so meaty. So just selfishly, we'll get to you lately, but give me some background on Nita River. I'm just personally curious. What's the
Yeah, that
inspiration?
I mean honestly the like hook of the song kind of came from a joke a little bit. I was in a
No kidding.
conversation. Yeah, I was in a conversation with a guy and we were just, we were talking about salvation and talking about Jesus and baptism and all these different things and he said something to me. He said, "I don't know, man. I might need the whole river." And I just thought that was so funny, but I also thought it was like, man, how many people feel that way? Like, man, I got so many problems. I got so many things going on with me. You might just have to dump the whole thing on me
Yeah,
to clean me out, but that yeah,
sure.
the like inside story. That's the lyric.
That's cool. That'll change the way I think, no doubt. And
I don't know if
is
that's a
the
good thing or not.
I know. Is the Jordan River big enough? That's now how I look at it. Yeah, very cool. Um, so I don't think I've interviewed many artists who have a background as a Marine.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that's really cool. I'm sure it gives you insight that's very unique and very real. Talk to us about the journey from being a Marine in active duty to where you are today.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think the cool thing about the Marine Corps for me was that was probably really where my relationship with the Lord sort of began. And if it weren't for the Marine Corps, I would not be here. I wouldn't be an artist. I wouldn't be a worship leader. Just this crazy turn of events. But man, I don't know if I should admit this to people listening, but when I got to boot camp in the Marine Corps, you could go to a chapel. They had just a couple different options for different beliefs and faiths. And I had gone to a youth group as a kid, and I believed in God, I knew God, but I wasn't walking with God or anything. And it was the moment you could go to the chapel, and drill instructors weren't allowed to go.
Oh,
So
so a safe place.
it was a safe place. You weren't going to get yelled at for an hour. You were going to maybe be able to talk to your friends a little bit. And so I purely went to the chapel. And not only did I go to the chapel, but when they asked us who wanted to be a prayer leader of our platoon for the Protestant that was the Christian belief
Sure.
system there. They said who wants to be a prayer leader, and I was like, well, what's the benefit? And they said you get an extra 45 minutes because you have to get there first, so you go to breakfast by yourself. And so I'm thinking Sunday morning, I'm going to go eat and have a few more minutes to eat. I'm going to go have almost 2 hours of no drill instructor. And all I have to do is pray with the guys at night. So I raised my hand and I was like, I'm the guy, I'm the prayer leader.
Oh my
And I kind
gosh.
of kind of faked it until I made it. But the thing was like I just was so convicted because I had to lead these guys in prayer and they came with so much going on with their families and things that we get letters, every few days, and they're dealing with real stuff. And so I actually had to go there with them, and so it almost like made me really challenge my faith. And the first time I ever heard, this is kind of cheesy, but it's a beautiful song. The song "Oceans" by
Sure.
Hillsong. It was the first time I ever heard that song was in the chapel, and it was an acoustic session. They would just play YouTube videos for us. There was no live worship or anything. And the first time I heard that song, I was like, the lyrics of this, they feel so deep and so vast. And it feels like a song that's accessible to even the secular crowd. This says because I had always kind of thought that some Christian music might be a little cheesy just growing up. That was
Sure, of course.
just I'm being honest,
And some
and
was.
yeah, and so I was like blown away, and that leading into other duty stations, I didn't really play music that whole time. And just a couple weeks before I discharged from Virginia to leave active duty, because I was stationed in San Diego and then in Fort Lee, Virginia as well, I borrowed a buddy's guitar. It was like the cheapest guitar, and I'd played guitar my whole life. So from memory, I started playing that song. My roommate in the barracks videotaped me singing that song. I didn't know he was video. It's still on Facebook somewhere. And that led to when I left the Marine Corps, I had a flight to Kansas City. My layover was in Cincinnati, where I live right now. The weather picked up during the flight. We had to circle the city, landed. The flight to Kansas City had already left. And I had an option to have a 8 p.m. Reflight or the next morning at 8 a.m. And so I just said, hey, I'll stick it out for the day, put me up in a hotel. I called my uncle, who was a pastor here in Cincinnati, and I was like, hey, man, I'm stuck in your city. Do you want to hang out? And he said, sure, I'll be there in 10 minutes. He came and picked me
Wow.
up. We got a steak dinner, and he said, man, I saw this video of you on Facebook you got tagged in. I didn't know you sang. I didn't know you like knew the Lord. I didn't know any of these things. He said, I got this
Wow.
internship at my church for musicians and people who want to serve in ministry. And if you don't have anything that you're getting into when you get out of the Marines, like, would you want to try it? And man, I stayed. I didn't get on the flight, and I lived in his basement for a year. Started the church internship, started writing songs for the Lord, and then
Is this how Seven Hills started?
that wasn't how the church started. That was how Seven Hills Worship started.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I
What a
mean
story.
and so the mountain story is the genesis of Seven Hills Worship. But this is how I got to Seven Hills, the church, and I mean just a layover, and a video on Facebook, and otherwise he would have never known to ask me. He would have known I had a relationship with the Lord, and there's like more layers to it. But yeah, that's how I got here. Just lived in my uncle's basement.
Oh my
Got
gosh. Never went to Kansas City.
I mean, eventually, like years later, or months down the
But
road,
I
I went
mean
to go.
that next day you just said, I'm
Yeah,
not even going.
didn't go.
What a story. And Seven Hills Worship, if our readers haven't listened, it's on Worship Road Radio often, but just a great worship team, great music. And you were the worship leader for them for years, correct?
Yeah, for 10 years.
10
Yeah,
years.
started Seven
And
Hills Worship with a couple guys, and we just started writing songs for the church. And nope, we didn't have an aim. There wasn't a goal. It was just
wow.
processing.
So, I mean, it's as organic of worship as you can find.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, and it
we
comes through.
accidentally stumbled. We accidentally stumbled into releasing music.
You
It was a little
stumbled
funny.
into it. You,
Yeah, it was not on purpose.
you've stumbled into a lot of success. I mean, you have as you know, to state the obvious, your work and the work of Seven Hills has impacted so many people. It's very impressive. Um,
Thank you.
I think it's important in any conversation to touch on something that I believe was pivotal in your journey with the Lord, and that was an accident that you experienced. You want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, for sure. So the this is kind of the genesis of me writing songs for the Lord and me writing songs for the church. But I had lived in Cincinnati, like I said, I didn't get on the plane, and I lived in Cincinnati for about 2.5 months probably, and I was going through a lot of things emotionally. I was a little depressed because I had been in a relationship, and like the Marine Corps happens a lot. That didn't work out, and so I didn't really know what was next for my life. I didn't really know what my direction was. I was doing the internship at the church, but I didn't know for sure if that's like what I was going to do, or if I was going to go back to school, or what exactly was the path. And so uh, my uncle took me on this rock climbing trip with a couple guys from our CrossFit gym, and we had been got up really early one morning, flew into Aspen, Colorado, got up, hiked through the trail for about 8.5 hours and got to the base of where we were going to set up camp for the night because the next day we were going to summit a mountain in Aspen called Capitol Peak. And Capitol Peak is the classified as the most difficult 14,000 foot mountain in Colorado. So
Wow.
highly technical, highly dangerous.
That's
But
amazing. I mean, did you have mountaineering skills? I've done a 14er in Colorado, but it was not a technical 14er.
I had never done it before, and I had I'd done things like that in my life. When you're a Marine, you think you're invincible, and so
I guess,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm like, I'm in great shape. Let's go do it. And so I jumped in like so many things in my life. I just dive in all the way, and so I dove in with that, and we got to the base. And while we were there, super spiritual moment there that I could get into another time, but I was just reflecting on my life and what I wanted to do. And this guy that was with us said, "Hey, I want to go climb this other mountain. I want to boulder a little bit. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Sure, let's do it. That sounds really dangerous and really fun." And so we go across the valley to this adjacent mountain called Mount Christiana, um, which is kind of ironic because that translates to Christian mountain. So a bunch of different funny details, but we start bouldering up a little bit, 15, 20 feet. We're looking into this cave that's kind of up a little higher. We're hoping to see like an animal or something in there. And when we got up there, it was boring. There was nothing at all in there. But when we looked down, having climbed 20 feet, we're like, it looks a little sketchy to go back down. Maybe there's an easier way down than the way that we got up. And so we looked to our right, and along the side of this mountain, beautiful valley, we can see down the way, probably like 500 or 600 yards down. There's a really gentle slope, and we start scaling the side of the mountain to get to that area so we can just sort of walk down it. But what we didn't realize was that there's something about the way that the sun hits the mountain, depending on where it is in the sky, that it creates an optical illusion to your eyes that whether or not something is like this or actually more like this.
No kidding.
And, and so as we got to that side, what had appeared to be a really gentle slope was actually almost vertical. And as we had been going to the side, we'd also been going up because that was sort of the natural progression of how to get over to that side. So now we're at this even more dangerous spot, but we're probably close to 100 feet in the air at this point.
Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't like highly technical rock climbing at that point. We had, it wasn't just four points of contact. We had some places where we could kind of almost rest our body for a second. But as we went up, it got steeper and steeper and steeper. Well, we got to that side, realized we weren't going to be able to go down there, and then looked up and thought, this has been a pretty simple climb so far. It's probably only another 300 feet up. Let's just
Wow.
climb to the top and then let's find the trailhead up there and come down. And so that was what we did. But what we didn't realize was the time that it took us to get over to this other side. Now the sun has set a little bit, and
Oh boy.
that same effect has happened now vertically for our eyes. And so as we got higher, we noticed that it was getting more vertical and more vertical and more vertical. It's very dangerous now. We can't go back down. The rock, because you've been rock climbing, the higher up you get, the flakier the rock
Hmm.
gets. And so we're start pulling rocks out of the side of the mountain, and we kind of make a rule. Hey, let's I'm gonna climb on this side, you climb on this side. 3 points of contact at all time. Make sure you're only making one move. And it was getting really dicey, and that's kind of when the atmosphere sort of changed. We were joking, we were laughing, we were having fun, and then it got really quiet for a little while, just knowing that both of us kind of had this sense that we were in trouble and didn't really know what the solution was. I mean, do we call mountain rescue? How do we do that? But that point of danger wasn't really in our mind yet. And so as we're getting a little higher, a little higher, a little higher, we're probably close to almost 300 feet in the air at this time.
My
And
gosh.
my friend, his name is Travis, an incredible, incredible man with a lot of mountaineering experience and mountain climbing and hiking, all the different things. And so I'm kind of following his lead, and he's being really smart and wise, and he's helping me make good decisions where I am. But uh, he goes to pull a rock, and I'm facing another direction, and all I hear is I'm falling. And I turn to look at him, and he's pulled a piece of rock, has come out of the side of the mountain about the size of a bowling ball. And he still has his feet planted, but it's pushing him back. And he goes to throw the rock over the side, but by the time he goes there, when he reaches for the wall, he's too far away. And he falls to his death. And he fell, I mean, 300 feet straight down. It was instant. And in that moment, you don't even know like how to process that. Like what just happened? That you were just next to me and now I know you're not here anymore. And you hear from across the valley, they had been watching us climb, and my uncle and his brother was one of the other guys with us, and his best friend was the other guy.
Oh,
And so they saw the fall. They scream, but they think it's me because I had given him my coat
oh
right
my
before.
gosh.
So my uncle thinks it's me, and he sprints across the valley as fast as he can. It's probably a half mile, and he covers it in 3 minutes. It was boom, and he's screaming my name, and I'm shouting back at him, and he keeps saying, "How are you alive? How are you alive?" And he's thinking, "Oh my gosh, somehow he's still alive, but this isn't going to be good." And when he gets there, he realizes, "Hey, I'm actually up here, but I have no jacket on now, and I'm paralyzed, like entirely paralyzed on the side of the mountain." And I couldn't move, but I was holding on. And if you know, if you've been rock climbing before, and if anybody listening has been rock climbing before, they know the forearm burn after just a few minutes of being static, holding on to something is pretty like insane, and the lactic acid buildup. And so I knew that I couldn't hold on anymore. And my uncle was like, "Don't move, don't move," and I'm yelling down at him, "I have to move." And I every time I tell this story, I try not to overly spiritualize it, but I think I have to because I don't remember moving from that position. I close my eyes, and the next thing I know, I wake up. I'm probably 10 feet higher, and I'm now back to the mountain. And I've gotten to a place where two rocks are jutting out on either side, and I'm using my arms here, and then sticking my foot into a crack to take the weight off of my arms, and then just shaking my arms out every few minutes to kind of release the buildup of lactic acid. And I did that for close to 12 hours.
And no
And
coat?
no coat. And so, and we're, this is like September, October in Aspen. And so we're super high
Oh
up.
my gosh.
And so it's very cold at night. There's no protection from the wind. I'm just getting battered by the wind. And hypothermia starts setting in. And I started, uh, I say this every time, but I had always had this perception of prayer being like a voicemail system to the Lord. That I would, I call, I leave my message, and then he has a box that he goes through the messages, and
Yeah.
he gets to him. And I don't know why that was my thought, but that was just how I kind of viewed it. And it was in this moment I started to talk to God, not to have him save me. I didn't want to barter with him. I didn't want to say like, "Hey, if you get me down, I'm going to be so good, I'm going to be
Hmm.
great." Whatever. I just couldn't do that. And so my conversation switched to, "God, I know I haven't lived the best life. I know I haven't followed you. I know I haven't made you first in my life. And I just want to give my life to you now, because whenever I'm about to meet you in the next few minutes or hours, I just hope it's okay when I get there." And so it really became this like deathbed prayer where I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it, because the rocks that I was holding on to were really, really slowly cracking and shifting.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
so I know I don't have a lot of time. I just fully like resigned to my fate at that point. And they called Mountain Rescue, and Mountain Rescue got there. I thought, it's pitch dark. The only thing lighting us is the stars and the moon. And I thought in my head that it would be like Rambo, like they would just like hover over with a rope, and I would grab the rope, and they would bring. That's not how it works. They land, and then they have volunteer mountaineers that come in, and they climb the mountain to put you into a harness and rappel you down. And it was pitch dark, so they didn't think that they could get to me. And from their position at the base of the mountain, the sound was traveling up the side of the mountain, so I could hear them just at speaking voice. And they're
Interesting.
saying, "Hey, we can't get him tonight. We're not going to be able to. Like, the best thing we think we can do is maybe get a blanket up to him, so he doesn't have hypothermia set in. And I just yelled down to them. I was like, guys, if you can't get to me, don't risk your life. But I'm not going to make it to the morning. Just so you know, the rocks I'm holding on to. If I had to guess, I got another 2 hours maybe. And so they decided to make the climb. And in the time, when we're waiting for mountain rescue to get there and all of the other things, I just started like talking to the Lord and praying to Him, and just honestly, it was this really laid back conversation of just reflecting on my life and the things that I had hoped I would do, and it was really surreal. But I felt like He was sitting right next to me on the mountain, and I felt this overwhelming peace in that time because of that. And I just started to sing the lyrics of just sing the verse of the love chapter. Your love keeps no record of wrongs. Your love keeps no record of wrongs. And it's like, your love keeps no record of wrongs. And I just kept singing that out because I felt like that's what I was holding on to. Like, God, please don't
Yeah.
keep a record of what I've done. Well, I'm singing that melody and just that line over and over and over again. Fast forward to, they did get me down. I was able to be rescued. They rappelled me down. I landed right next to where Travis's body was, so I had to see that, and then I had to spend the night in our tent right there because
Oh,
you can't travel through the forest in nighttime. In Aspen, it's way too dangerous. You could get hurt. There's animals, all the different things, and so we all just slept. And I listened to his brother cry all night long in our tent. And we had the mountain rescue got into our tent with us that night, and they slept too. I heard them call their families and say, "I'm okay, I'm safe. We got one of them down. One of them didn't make it." And I heard all that, and I processed all that, and I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, they don't get a vehicle to take you out of there. You walk back out the way you came in, and they can't get the body with like a helicopter or anything, so they send in horses. And so on our way out, we passed the horses that were going to get Travis. And
hmm.
it was the most silent 8 to 9 hours of my entire life, hiking back out of this place. And the grief that you felt, everybody was processing. I'm in shock still. Everything that had happened, I'm basically in shock. And I just remember thinking, I have to give my life to this. I have to give my life to God. I have to give my life to the songs that I felt like He was giving me in that moment. And I know that sounds maybe cheesy, but I just was so convicted that, God, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna go be a firefighter or an engineer. I'd gone to school for engineering. I'm not gonna do any of that stuff. I'm going to, whatever it looks like, I'm gonna make music for you. I'm gonna write songs for you, and I'm gonna write true and honest songs for you.
So how
And
long was this after the time that you hung out with your uncle in his basement? What was the time
that's about
difference?
2.5 months after.
Oh, so this all happened at one time, basically.
Yeah, really quickly. And that song, the lyrics of "No Record of Wrongs," that was the very first song that I wrote for our church that we ever released with Seven Hills. And when I say we stumbled into releasing music, we didn't write it. I didn't even know how to upload. I didn't know a DistroKid or TuneCore or a distributor or a publisher. I didn't know what any of those things were.
Wow.
I just wrote the song and we sang it for our church, and they loved it. It like caused such a crazy emotional reaction to them, and they knew the story, and they just kept saying, "Hey, how do we get this song? How do we get this song? I want to hear this song. I want to hear this song." And so we had no choice. We're like, "Well, we'll record it live or something. Like we'll do it for a worship service." And and that was, we had a few more songs, and that's just what we did. And
Wow.
I think we used TuneCore or something, and we had I still didn't know what publishing is, Scott. I didn't know what publishing or a publisher was until 2021. I didn't know what they
Wow.
were. We were just releasing music for our church. We didn't care who was listening to it, except for them. And so that was never the point of Seven Hills Worship,
That's
to
why
be.
it sounds so authentic, Caleb. I mean, thank you for sharing that story. That just rocked me. I mean, but to see what the Lord has done in your life through that is so inspirational. I mean,
You.
and now I'm going to listen to your music a little differently.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
and now my daughter, son-in-law, and granddaughter live in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, cool.
So um, I need to check out Seven Hills Worship when I'm there next time.
Yeah, check it out.
And
It's
that's
a
down in Cincinnati, right?
yeah.
Or
So
on the
there's
Kentucky side.
right across the river. So I mean, 10 minutes from downtown Cincinnati, but
Yeah.
you're right across the river in Kentucky is the main campus. But they're building a new campus in Cincinnati.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Um, wow. Tell us what's in store for 2026. I'm having a hard time moving on from that story, but what do we have to look forward to with you in 2026?
Yeah. So I mean, I'll make it a long story short, but I felt in 2025 that the Lord was calling me to release my own songs that were very personal to me, that were very intimate, maybe still worship at times, but also just songs that I felt like could help people. Because I started to release songs with Seven Hills Worship, and one of the records was called Like Poetry, and
Hmm.
that whole record is just songs that were heart cries from me that I wanted to release that were a little different than your congregational Sunday music. And the reception of that album was really great.